Hello everybody and welcome into another Mortal Night Gaming Isle video where we're going to go over the camera changes that is going on within the Isle. Dondi has really shown off quite a bit in the way of how the new camera system is going to work. We're going to be going from a spatial satellite 360, 180 degree directional kind of way to being more close to right over the head. This is going to add a new level to our gameplay. I personally am pretty hyped up for it. I kind of always thought that whenever it came to the camera, it provided too much space and it allowed for ambushes to really not be as effective as they could be. Whenever you can see a raptor jumping out of the bush that's 20 feet away from you, then it kind of defeats the purpose of the raptor needing to jump out of the bush. It also really takes that surprise effect and that like, oh gosh, what just got me? It takes it out of it whenever, say, a Trudon comes bursting through the bushes and you can see it for the 10 feet it needs to be able to touch you. And the goal for it is immersion, of course, and reducing unfair information, 360 awareness, corner peeking, things like that. Making position awareness and movement matter more. The way you position your dinosaur to a tree or while eating, while drinking, it's going to matter a lot more whenever you can't spin that camera around on you and you have to stop drinking to spin your head to be able to see that way. Dondi has repeatedly stated the old camera gives players too much control and safety, and I really do agree. He mentioned in his stream where he was addressing this that it's like giving players training wheels, and on community servers they're going to go ahead and enable that. So if players do want to have more like a training wheel set, then they absolutely can. The reduced camera freedom, it's going to be a core change. It's going to change how the entire game plays. What's changing exactly, though? It's less ability to freely spin the camera around the dinosaur. The camera is more tightly anchored to the head / body orientation. Turning the camera does not equal turning the dinosaur. It's more intentional movement that you're going to have to make. The full impact of it is going to be yet to see once we actually have a version of it on Horde Test. I'll be really interested to see how many of the community stick around and how many go back to some other games that are a little bit easier in this genre. For instance, it's going to be harder to watch behind you while you're sprinting. So if you have a predator after you right now, you can just kind of spin that 360 view, hold down S, and you can watch their movement to be able to try to predict where they're going. Now that there is some ambushing that can come in some team folks there, but ambushing predators will definitely be gaining an advantage now because you'll have to turn your body, you'll have to turn your head. There won't be any more of that acting like you're eating and you don't notice them so that they lunge and you get out of the way just in time. There's going to be way less free intel during fights and escapes. You're not going to know whether or not a pack of raptors is just the 4 that are taking you on or if they have 4 more waiting in the tree line. Third, over the shoulder / body angle camera direction. Some key points to take away from what Dondi has discussed is the camera favors an over the shoulder or body following perspective. It's not a third person. It's more like there's a motion camera attached to like the shoulder blades of the dinosaurs, and seeing some of the stuff that he has talked about on his stream and kind of the camera situation and showing us some riggings and things like that, it looks like it's actually going to take a lot more work to do it this way. And honestly, I'm looking forward to this. So this isn't something that I'm against. If you are, then that's fine too. Just leave it down in the comments. Let me know what you think. Gameplay effects, like we said, it's just going to be combat positioning is going to matter so much more. Fights are going to be way less about the camera abuse and more about the movement and timing of the player. It's going to make larger dinosaurs feel heavier and more dangerous. And one of the things I've always been saying about this game is I can't tell how big I am. It is crazy to be a Stegosaurus and you're standing next to a tree and you're as big as the tree and not even realizing that you are hovering, your plate is 9 foot in the air until you come across like a full-grown Omniraptor and you're like, oh, I could squish you under my foot. Combat and PvP camera implications, though, is really where I think most people are going to complain about this. They're going to have reduced ability to track multiple enemies at once. The orbiting opponents while biting is going to be way more difficult. You're going to force players to commit to attacks. They're going to choose angles more careful. Especially going to be impactful for Apex's pack fights ambush gameplay, Pack fights are really where it's going to end up making the biggest difference. Raptors and other pack animals are going to have to stand back and really take turns. They're going to have to wait to see their little buddy run in so that they don't accidentally, knock them over or knock into their side or hit them in their pounce. We already have enough trouble with that in the raptor community. So this is really going to be interesting to see exactly how this all turns out. Night vision and visibility changes with the camera adjustment. So obviously we know the night vision needs reworked. It's going to get tied into the camera philosophy though. So you're going to, what I've seen about it, it's going to be kind of like a bubble that produces a faint light in the distance. He's even talked about doing some like things being blurrier in the distance, and then as you approach them, they come into view, which would be really awesome, especially for seeing dinosaurs and how big they actually are whenever you get up close to them, rather than it just being like a almost fully rendered image. You'll have like a blur factor to it, and I think that's going to be great. That's that less clarity, more shape recognition and movement detection. You're going to reduce long range spotting abuse, which means a player sitting up on top of a rock playing PT who's mix herding with a group of T-Rex, he's going to be able to see them way off in the distance. He's going to be able to give them direction where to go. And whenever they're all teamed up on Discord in a voice chat, it can be pretty quiet. So you're going to make sound and awareness more important than visuals alone. I already like to play this game with the headphones turned all the way up and all the sound effects all the way up so I can hear footsteps, and now it's going to matter even more. I'm really hoping that they actually increase how audio works so that it actually sounds like something is coming closer to you or getting further away. I feel like right now in Horde Test, whenever you hear a bush rustle, it could sound like it's right next to you, and it's actually a bush that's slightly on top of the hill 10 feet away. So some examples of how this camera system's going to really work it's going to be species specific for the camera behavior. Now, this has only been discussed and implied, so it's nothing set in stone yet. But Dondi has implied the cameras may feel different depending on the size of the dinosaur, the height off the ground, the predator versus herbivore role. Herbivores are going to be, more looking down to the sides. He has said that he doesn't want it to be super realistic. If he wanted it to be super realistic, then he would have gone and done he would have done like fisheye lens. You can only see the left and right of you, and he just doesn't want to do that. He wants it to still be fun, so we're going to have some angle. What I am curious to see how it all works out, though, is in the aquatic and semi-aquatic dinosaurs, because they may receive further camera tuning because of, needing to be able to see yourself and how you look in the water, needing to be able to see over the ledge. He's talked about doing like a periscope view for gators, and I'm really hoping that comes to fruition. He's been talking about it since Spyro, so we'll see if that ever comes out. The testing and iteration, let me just give you some important disclaimers here. Many camera angles have been tested internally, shown briefly on streams, and rolled out experimentally. Dondi has stated the camera will continue to be adjusted based on gameplay results. Not all backlash means reversal, but tuning is expected. He has said that, he's not overly focused on what the community says or doesn't say about the game, but he is focused on how it forces you to play in the game. Is it going to be fun? Is it going to be boring? Is it going to be as immersive as he feels? He wants the game to be as immersive as possible, but he doesn't want to cause a crazy amount of discomfort. So just going over some community reactions here, we've seen players have a concern motion sickness with that camera sticking there. Will it move with the dinosaur? He stated it won't. It'll stay solid. A loss of situational awareness, that's to be expected whenever it comes to a loss of camera angle, but I really think it's going to even the playing field. I equate this game a lot to Sea of Thieves, because while they are two totally different games, Sea of Thieves is a game where you don't have skills, you don't have a build, you just are a pirate and you play. The Isle, you can get some mutations, but those mutations aren't so crazy that if you played the game with absolutely no mutations, you'd be fine. It's a game that you jump in and everybody's right there on the same level. It's just a matter of time and experience playing that changes that. So Dondi's stance on this has been discomfort does not automatically mean a bad sign. He thinks that you should be able to allow to get the players some time to get used to new mechanics. He thinks that new mechanics are needed, and I agree with him. Not wholeheartedly. I think that the camera angle thing, for instance, should just be, depending on the dinosaur, I think the pterodon should pretty well, if they're in the air, they should keep an almost 360 ability while they're in the air, because landing is already difficult enough at times, even with that 360 ability. But maybe after you get used to being right over that head cone, it makes it a lot easier. We'll see. Really, I'm curious to see how this will affect different play styles. For solo players, it's going to mean harder escapes and a higher risk when going in for your kill. For pack players, you're going to need way better coordination, which may honestly deter mix packers from mix packing so much, especially if a Dibble sees on such a low level compared to, say, an Allosaurus or a T-Rex seeing on such a high level. It's going to be a lot harder to coordinate those attacks. Apex players are going to be way less dominant just because they're in Apex. Right now, T-Rex has got a vicious bite. It breaks bones. It basically is what it should be. But having a player have that 360 vision for a T-Rex keeps players who otherwise could ambush it and take it down. It keeps them from being able to do that. So I really feel that ultimately, whenever the full wash comes out of this, we're going to be seeing Apex players really having to hold their own against a lot of smaller carnivores who are packing up just for survival. Ambushing predators are going to be getting the biggest buff. So, if you're looking at playing a Certa, for instance, Trudon, Herrerasaurus, even a Dino, that narrow vision is going to help you come out of the bushes behind somebody drinking. They're not even going to have an idea that you're there, and you're going to see a lot more players get a lot more mad from getting snatched up. I think that it's a great part of the game, so that's what I'm here for, is for those jump scares. I've never been one to care if my dino dies or not. I do like to get out of baby stage, but it's perfectly fine if I get eaten because I got jump scared. Like, that's what I'm here for. So what's to watch for next? Further tweaks to camera distance, rotation speed, head and body tracking, possibly accessibility or tuning options that are not confirmed, continued testing alongside combat and animation updates. That's so basically everything. A lot of people are freaking out about this across Reddit, across everywhere right now. But I will tell you that I don't think they're going to have a very short period of time before it comes out. I think it's going to be a really long release. I think the camera angle change is going to be one of the most significant and longest projects this dev team has ever taken, and most of it seems to be being handled by Dondi himself. So we're probably looking at this time next year before we even see it in horde test. I could be wrong, but they seem to be really more focused on wanting to get Allosaurus out, Spinosaurus out, Camarasaurus working, a few others. Quinzel is supposed to be working on that. So whether you love or hate these camera changes, one thing's going to be clear. The Isle is no longer being designed around player comfort, but player intent. So keep this in mind whenever you're joining into the game. It's not about what's going to make the community happy or what's going to make things easier, or it never will be with this game. It's always going to be what the devs feel the game should be, and they don't come off that script, and I like that. That's one of the reasons why I stay here with the Isle, is because they read the comments, they address the comments, and then they explain to you why they're choosing the thing that they choose. Whenever it comes to anything that gets popular in video games, TV, YouTube, anywhere, I have found, in my humble opinion, that you can't make people happy to begin with. So why even try? Just do what you're going to do, make the content you're going to make, put it out there. If the players come, the players come, and if they don't, well, you know what you can fix and balance. You know how to rebalance the game. So with that, thank you for tuning in. This has been the Mortal Knight. This is Mortal Knight Gaming. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And you can find my links down below to our Patreon, to our Twitch. You can find all of it down below in the description. So you guys have a great day. Stay humble, stay well, stay good. Peace, love, and hummus. Later.